You're listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers.
Presented by CMH Heli Skiing and Peak Performance.
This episode of the LPP is brought to you by CMH Heli Skiing, Peak Performance Outerwear, Fat Tire Amber Ale, RMU Skis and Mountain Culture Shops, and the official destination partner of the LPP, Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in beautiful Golden, British Columbia. Enjoy the episode.
You did it.
We did it.
You did it. Mm-hmm. You guys seem relieved. Yeah. Is that a right word? Proper word?
Relieved. Yeah. Tired as well. Excited for what will come after that.
All right. So for those of you who skipped the intro, we're talking to
Fanny Avril.
And Hedvig Wessel.
Yes, and you just put on the inaugural Sister Summit at Mustang Powder. You dominated the social media space over the last week or so.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yes, it looked awesome.
Thank you.
It looked so fun. I was quite jealous. I'm like, they look like they're having the best time. Whether it was from dancing and partying in the cats to launching, hucking. Everybody seemed to be hucking their meat, backflips and whatever, to meditation sessions in the lodges, and it was quite the event. So I'll just tell you what I know about it. I remember talking to you and Lexi, who we're in Lexi's house right now. She is still recovering. She lost her voice from an intense week which was preceded by several months. But she was telling me about this idea that you guys said. You were telling us about this idea that you had when Verbia last year. And then I just would talk to you, or I'd get little bits and pieces of it. I'm like, I wonder what this thing is. And it was, from my perspective as a viewer, just observing, holy smokes. So congratulations on a big week. Everyone seemed to be fired up.
Thank you so much.
So tell me, what is it? Let's start there.
It's really a mix between plenty of things that we thought the industry would need, and we would need both as athletes but also as workers in the industry. It's a mix of summit for career management, summit for athletes to push each other in the backcountry, and a competition. Because we need that sometimes. We need that challenge to improve those skills. So the idea is really to push ourselves at all levels, both on the hill and off the hill, so we can be the best athletes and the best workers that we can in the industry. So for that, we have been working with an all-female crew, which has been quite challenging, I think, to find the talents because we are not used to that. An all-female crew of mountain guides, cat drivers, of course skiers, snowboarders, media crew also, so photographers, filmers, editors, and yeah, we did it.
Yeah, even staff, from the top to bottom.
So how did this all come together? Was there like a light bulb moment? You know, because you guys have been kind of throwing this idea around for a little while. Like how did it, was there a moment where you're like, hey, we need to do something? You know, you were working for the Freeride World Tour. You were on the tour last year, so was Lexi. So you had lots of time to kind of brainstorm. Is that where it really got started?
Yeah, I mean, it was Lexi who came to us and was like, I have this idea, like I want to create something similar to the bike...
Travis Rice's thing?
No,
Is that what it was?
Formation with the all-female biking,
the biking
event.
Thing. Yeah.
Because Lexi was a digger there last year, and she just witnessed the whole event and was like, oh my God, we need this in skiing and in snowboarding. And she always wanted to do a contest, and that was super, that was her goal, to do a different kind of contest. But with all the elements of wellness and health. And I came in and was like, but I also want to be bringing the business side of being an athlete. Mm-hmm. And then Fanny came in and like, what about the media? Like, how can we put us, like what we really want and need together? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what create a sister summit, and also having Leanne as a snowboarder and coming in and like being able to see the industry as a whole, I think, with the four of us, with all our different backgrounds, really made Sister Summit what it is. And it took us months to really dial in and like go through all the levels and create Sister Summit, because it's so much more than just an event, you know. It's really.
So that's that's cool. I love how the natural progression of it was, well, why don't we do communication stuff? Because I'm sure I guarantee there's been moments in time where it's like, this is frustrating. Why isn't there more avenues for me to learn, or even for me to teach? Same thing with you, you know, on the athlete side. Then the filming side, like there's so many different components to it, which when I first thought of it, I'd like, oh, it's just like a competition. Right, but that's probably like the least of it. Yeah. Right.
For sure.
What was the competition? Is it like a film thing or a?
It was. We were actually discussing this for a while. What kind of competition we wanted, but we ended up having the contest as who is a true sister. Like throughout this whole week, which girl stands out as the girl who was the most supportive and caring, and they took their ego aside. You know, they were there for the community and they were not there as an individual, and they wanted everyone else to succeed, and made that possible. And that was basically what we judged each other on, and because we wanted to highlight that quality. And
the cohesiveness, like, we'll raise you up, I'll raise you up, I'll raise you up.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say ego too. So like approaching it or thinking of it from my point of view, from male's point of view, when you get together for events and whatnot, a lot of times, say for instance, like a rail jam or like some of the contests back in the day, everyone was kind of always boosting each other up. But at the same time, you still really want to win.
Yeah.
And I see that kind of from my personal perspective, as a male perspective. I've done a lot of sports. I've done that sort of thing. So it's like, all right, I'm stoked for other people, but I also want to do better than them.
Yeah.
Right? Where within the skiing industry, recently there's been that big groundswell of this movement. You know, females are finally getting their time. They're finally getting the attention they deserve. They may have to take it themselves. But there's always been that, let's work together and bring us to that level, because we're not fighting against the guys, but we're competing for time. We're competing for money. We're competing for attention, for everything, for budgets against the guys. So it was always, the girls always kind of seemed to me like they were working together.
Yep.
And then, so you just mentioned like put the ego aside, and I never really thought about that too, because I'm sure it's the same where there are some girls that are like, oh, I'm going to help you out, but I want to do better than you.
Yeah.
Is that something that is, I guess the question I'm having, is that something that has ever been something you've dealt with or is an issue as much? Or was I kind of on point? Or am I completely wrong?
I think, for me, it's like coming from a mogul skiing background and competing on the World Cup, and now coming into freeride, and like I thought, or how can I say this? Just experiencing the different areas of skiing, and now like for the girls and for the levels to step up, we need to come together. Mm-hmm. And I think it was so beautiful at Sister Summit that everyone really wanted that, and because there's so like the past years there's been one girl in the ski films, right? There's one girl who has that big brand, that big sponsor, but our goal is to share the knowledge, to share the contacts, and to share our secrets, and that's really what inspires me as an athlete, to be able to kind of open that conversation and show everyone that that's how we do it here. Mm-hmm. Like if you want, to contact with my partner, I'm going to share that with you, and I'm going to share if you want feedback or to learn like how you can be a better athlete for the brands, mm-hmm. or how to do a backflip. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want to be that only girl who does a backflip. I want everyone to learn it. Right. And if someone can teach me what they know, I think that's how we really raise the bar, and we don't want to have few athletes on the top who is, running the business, but we want to really make it possible for everyone to have the knowledge and the skills.
Create a web, kind of, and a community really strong all together. And because I think that most of us often felt kind of isolated, because we are not a lot. But we are a bit hidden. And so really create that web where we can help each other, not only for this season, but for the future as well.
Yeah.
And elevate all together towards what we want to accomplish and make our dream come true.
So I think that was kind of the point where I mentioned I had a little bit of jealousy, is because I personally crave that kind of collaboration as well, but you don't really get it. You don't really get it much unless there's something that somebody sets up. Like, I would love to be able to teach someone my knowledge of, what am I doing? How does a podcast work? Or how do I post that stuff? Or have someone, when I first started, have someone come and talk to me like, this is how you approach a brand, right? If you want to get a sponsorship, this is the information that you need. This is what they're going to want to know.
Yeah.
Right? Well, what are your numbers? How do I put those together?
Yep.
What do I ask for? How do I ask? Right? So I'm sure, I don't know, did you go over like stuff with like contracts and things like that? So say someone wants to approach a brand and say, hey, I'm looking for a sponsorship. Is that part of the overall?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like a few of our speakers talked about branding and how, like, basically how to be an athlete, like all the different aspects of it.
Right.
How do we earn money? Like, how do we build something that someone wants? And how to create
value for yourself, like in yourself that you can provide for others.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be an equally beneficial partnership. And that's what we are as Sister Summit. And that's also what we want the sisters, all the girls, to do, and we had a super cool talk about branding and identity and how to know your own value and how to, talk about it. And we basically went through the whole business plan of like, how can you as a brand or you as an athlete create your brand and identity. And I think that was more that I'm so passionate about that, because that's also what I've been studying, and I've been really fortunate to work with my mentor and my manager and learn so much about that. And that's what I see, that a lot of athletes, and especially girls, they have so much to learn, and I think they can benefit from this knowledge. Coming back to like the community and going away from the individual, but going through the collective of helping each other with that. And I had so many beautiful talks with the girls who were like, how do I negotiate? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm like, I actually just wrote a bachelor thesis about that, and I would love to share my knowledge. Like, I want every girl to earn more money and to have bigger partnerships. And if, we can be a partner, have the same partner, even better,
Right.
And that's really what I feel that throughout this whole week, that's what everyone felt, instead of like feeling that, oh no, she's with Yeti, then I can't be with Yeti.
Right, the tokenism, right.
Yeah, and that's what, both on and off the hill, like when we were on the hill as well, like we wanted everyone to succeed. And I wanted, like Lexi and I built a jump and we were going to do backflip, and she was a bit scared in the beginning. And I was like, Lexi, you can do it, but I'll go first, that's okay. And then I went too big and I crashed. And I was like, I radioed her like, Lexi, okay, do less speed, but remember to do. And then she did it and she landed perfectly, And
Right.
I think that's like really the way we want it to be, both on and off the hill, and also create that community that it's not only about this week, but it's about the years coming.
Right.
And that we're always there for each other.
Right. That's amazing. And like, so that's really, really cool. And then from your side, you've spent the last 4 years working with the Freeride World Tour, which, and obviously I'm biased because I produced the show and I worked with you producing the show, and I see what you put out, but I've had other people tell me that they'd never seen the type of output on an event like the Freeride World Tour does. So the event happens in the day, and if you pay attention to what comes out in the hours, like even 24 hours after the event, the amount of content is huge.
It's huge.
Absolutely massive. And so not only is it collecting the footage, editing it together to the style.
It's also preparing the storyline like on a daily basis, because it's changing all the time. Like at 11 you have your weather call, and like the competition is confirmed for the day after, but like 2 hours after we just realized that the wind just ruined everything, and so we're not going to do the competition. And so you have to adapt like continuously. And we don't have such a big production team on the Freeboard Tour, you know. We had 3 filmers, 4 at the maximum. And basically, you wake up in the morning, you write down the storyline, and then they go out filming half the day and editing the other half of the day. And they do that like before the event, in the same time preparing all the footage and all the interviews for the live webcast, preparing the production setup before the live stream. And after the competition, like you basically finish the competition, go as fast as you can down the hill to go back at the office, edit tons of footage for like the next couple of days and release it.
Yeah, and like I said, it's amazing how much comes out with that small team. Well, you don't have many people doing it.
No.
So it has to be unbelievably tight,
Yep.
streamlined, focused, organized, which is an amazing skill, which would tie in exactly to what you were talking to. You know, you can teach someone to do a backflip. Well, then what do you do with that backflip? Right? Well, then you figure out, okay, how am I going to display it? Where am I going to post it? When am I going to post it? How am I going to tie it into that brand that I'm trying to create for myself? And then how do I present that to a company that I want to sponsor me or I want to represent so I can make some cash? It's a pretty amazing, like from my point of view, I want to do a course like that. Like I would pay, I would pay for that. So good for you for putting that on. How many people attended in how many different categories?
We had 25 athletes, 5 mountain guides, a media crew of 9 people, well, 10 including me. And
we had 2 staff, or like 1 social media manager, 1 admin on the ground all the time. And then we had the Mustang team, which were between 5 and 10. That was like running the lodge. And then we had
2 amazing chefs.
Yeah, 2 amazing chefs. And we had a masseuse and the other cat drivers. They were 4.
How did you get connected with Mustang?
Lexi had been at Mustang for years. Yeah, so we reached out to them pretty quickly and said that we were interested in coming, and we figured out that early season is the best before any of their customers come, and we were lucky to get the best snow ever. We were so scared, like honestly.
In November, you got like...
The week before we were like, oh my God, there is no snow at all. What do we do? And we were like asking to all of our friends around who have access to extended forecast to see if a storm was coming, and like the storm was supposed to arrive the weekend and then it was going to arrive at the beginning of the week. So we were like, okay, what should we do? Should we cancel? Should we do it?
Yeah. And we were close to canceling or like just pushing it back until April. But then I think when we really looked into like what do we do, we saw that this is not about skiing alone. You know, there's so much more to this. Like if we even don't have any snow, then what we do on the ground is even more important.
Still super valuable. And I think that that's kind of what I started to gather in watching, you know, what you guys have been releasing to the world and showing what it's all about. I'm like, oh, at one point I'm like, oh, they didn't even need it to snow. Yeah. Because you can just, this is far more important. But
we had the Dupont.
And we were out, 7 hours each day. And also we want to give, like, a lot of these girls, like some of them, they don't have their own film projects, or they never filmed before, or they don't have the budget to hire photographers. And that for us, being able to give, the content, the photos and the videos back to them and to their partners, that's like a huge part of Sister Summit, we want to give assets for them to grow. as, you know, brands.
So that was a big part of the week too, is getting photos, getting video.
As much as we could, especially in pre-season, you know, because they're going to be able to use that footage during all the season, and not only the athletes but the partners as well.
Right.
Because so in terms of partnership, we kind of talk to main partners for having them as a presenting partner of the Sister Summit, but we also worked with each partner of the different athletes, so we could make sure that they were part of what we call the industry collective, because I thought it was important for us to gather around the same values and to showcase those partners who would support the athletes to come at such an event, which was not in the calendar of the season yet. So we showcased them, and we really wanted to give them as much footage as they could, so they could use it both for the promoting their athletes, but also promoting themselves.
So I heard there was a couple different ways. Obviously, something like this isn't cheap. No. Right? She's like, no. So how was it paid for? I heard there was a couple different ways. You had some decent sponsors, like, of the overall thing. But like Yeti was one, correct? Were there any other major partners for the overall event?
Yeah, Outside TV.
Oh, wow.
Came out as an official media partner. So basically, all of our content, video content, will be available on Outside TV. And Outside TV will also support the System Summit movie that will come out next fall.
Oh, there's a movie.
It's a movie coming. It's going on tour. See you at IF3.
Absolutely, we'll have you. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I5 as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Outside TV really, came as a big partner of it. And Yeti and Outside were the two main, and for the rest of the partners who paid for their athletes to attend at the Sister Summit, they are part of what we call the industry collective.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of the athletes had some of them who had individual sponsors put up a little bit of money, kind of with like a trip budget sort of thing, or like a contest budget, something along the same sort of line. So they're like, okay, this is what we'll send you. And then did you have to send that to? Did you provide that for all the athletes that were coming, and then they just supplied that to their sponsors?
Yeah, I mean, we created an agreement and a contract, basically, that they could provide to their partners. So basically, do you want this content of me? Yes or no?
Right.
Well, yes, then you need to give me some cash. You know?
I like it. Straight to the point.
Yeah.
And just like that's basically what we've done the past 5 months, is negotiate with all the brands and just spreading the word. And it's been so amazing to see the support throughout the whole industry. Like,
did mostly everybody just say, yeah, this is great, I love this? Or did you get anybody that were like, nah, and now they're probably kicking themselves?
No one.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most of the brands that we talked to have been super supportive. For sure, it was late coming in September, end of the year, to get, funding. But
for November of the same year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
we
it's
found some funding.
Oh, for sure. Like we've been able to pull it off. We're still looking for partners for sure for the future, and I think now we did get a proof of concept, and we were able to deliver, and we're going to continue doing that, and then hopefully the world will see it and want to be part of it.
You have people banging down the door.
Yeah.
So how did you decide who was coming?
Of the athletes?
Yeah, like obviously there was, like, people need to pay for it as well. But aside from that, how did you choose who was able to participate, or who was allowed to participate, or or were you just like, yeah, you can come, let's go? Because I know you kept announcing people were coming.
Yeah.
So how did that work?
We basically made a list of all the athletes we were inviting on site. And we sent an invitation to all of them
How
at the
many?
same time. I don't know.
Between 60 and 80.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we said just first come, first serve.
What was your cap?
20.
20.
Yeah, so 10 skiers and 10 snowboarders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then so how were you able to insert those? Like, how did you choose? Just literally first come, first serve?
Yeah.
Snooze, you lose, I guess. Hey?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the only way we could do it. Like we would love to have 200, all the skiers, all the snowboarders
Right.
who wanted to come. But we were supposed to be at Mustang. We had 49 beds total. You know what I mean? Like, we had that number, and we just had to say, like, we have 10 snowboarders, 10 skiers, and we had the rookies, and then the founders, and that was it, So, yeah. But then, I mean, that's also seeing now that there's so many more women who should be there and should have been there, makes us so fired up to create more events. And our goal is to have 2 events next year, 3 events the year after that, and then taking it to Europe and around
Other
the world.
places.
And other sports too. Like, we have a business plan we made in June. It's stick solid, and we're gonna.
How did that change as you were, like, based on your plan? Did everything kind of go according to plan? Because nothing ever
Like
goes.
the whole, you mean the event, like
Yeah.
the week?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It worked exactly kind of
Yes,
how you had
I
planned?
think so.
Yeah, I mean, except we had some sickness and a few people pulling out, and
yes, that.
some sponsors pulling out. Like, for sure, there'd been some small.
Hiccups.
But it's been a pretty hectic week for sure. Like, we are tired.
Right.
Like, we need to digest and rest for like a month. But I think overall everything went super good despite our small issues. And
As long as they're small, right?
yeah.
Everything you do with regards to that, as you know, there are issues and hiccups, and sometimes they're major. But if they're small and minor, they're easy to do. And you were so among the 4 founders, did you have like defined roles within? Like you had a specific role, Leanne, and Lexi had specific roles, and then we just meet and share the details of what you guys are working on?
Not at the beginning, but it came with time. Each one of us was more comfortable with some part of the sister summits. But what we did all together was discussing with partners. So each one of us had tons of calls with different brands, so we could make sure that we were going to deliver what we promised. And eventually, with time, Lexi took most of the speaker series, Hedvig more about the mountain operations. Leanne was here to find talents in snowboarding and support us in this industry. And I was here more for the media aspects.
Communications kind of stuff. Everybody had their own specified, their own special talents, and really, really cool. All right, so I wanted to talk about with the rookies. So obviously you have established riders, and then with how many rookies did you have, and why, and how did you choose them? Yeah,
so we wanted to give the rookies or the younger skiers, maybe who don't have the partners, or who don't have the big Instagram, or who are not competing, but are still ripping. We wanted to give them a chance to come to this event and maybe meet their idols or just be a part of this community. And so we basically created a Instagram competition where they submitted a reel and was voted for. And we got more than 100 reels.
Wow.
Which was so cool.
Yeah, it was so hard to because each one of us made a ranking of our top 3, but it was just so hard to pick only 3.
Were there any, were the top 3, were they consistent, or did
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we made top 6 actually, and then it was super consistent, but at the same time we wanted the public to vote. So that was the main rookie was voted from the public through Instagram, and then they basically came for free and were able to join us.
How many rookies came?
3.
Yeah.
1 skier, 1 snowboarder, and 1 filmer.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you actually got all 3. Now I knew, who was the skier rookie?
Piper Kunst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw her. She's got the Dr. Pepper thing on her.
Yeah.
I was watching some of. She actually stood out to me.
She's a great skier. She's such a good skier.
Right, and then I know the snowboard rookie Anto, who came to IF3 because she had a really beautiful film that she put in. And I remember when you saw her, you're like, oh, do I tell her? Can I tell her?
Yeah.
Because you knew by then too, right?
Oh yeah, well, she just won before I met her, and that was 3 weeks before Sister Summit, and we were supposed to announce it one of the following days, and I was like, Anto, you're coming to Sister Summit. And then the beautiful thing with Anto is she's from Chile, and she basically reached out to the whole community, and she won with 5 times more than anyone else. And I also think that's so impactful to see that Chile or Chilean, I don't know how
Chilean
skiers and that community is so strong.
It's quite strong, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, we do an IF3 event down there that I always just thought, oh, it's an IF3. But actually, when I started paying more attention to it, I was like, holy smokes, it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so awesome. And also with the filmer or photographer, we wanted to include that because, that's such a big deal of the event, the media crew, and we want to highlight that. And I think, there's not that many, both with the guides and the media or filmer photographers, there's not that many women, and we really want to give them that space and to push them forward and also connect them with athletes. It's hard to take space and to be seen as a woman in the industry.
Who was the rookie for the
Lilia Mickey.
film side?
Lilia Mickey, she's from Vancouver. Yeah. But yeah, the production aspect was amazing. For me, it was actually the first time that I've been working with woman filmer, woman photographers.
Because that's the thing. There are a lot of great female photographers, but no real cinematographers or filmers come to my mind. Not come to my mind that are like names that I can recognize. Be like, oh, she's this. Yeah. Whereas I can with athletes, obviously, and with photographers. So that's really, really cool, because there aren't any. Well, there aren't enough. Yeah,
not enough, and they're also. No, it's hard, and it's that's why we want to really show the media team, because they're so important, and we want them to grow and be with us.
Because it's cool, because this year there was a handful of all female projects, like smaller projects that are just sort of bubbling, trying to make waves. A handful down in the States. I know Elizabeth has been working on with an all female crew as well. So I think it's just the simmering start of it. And Laura Obermeyer is one specifically who had a really cool film down in the States. I can't remember what it's called. My apologies. Too many films this year. So many films. But I think that's one of the things that I'm most curious to pay attention to is the creatives in the industry that are being given this opportunity. Because in my opinion, it's probably the hardest door to open.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know what I wanted to say here.
I know what you mean. Because that's what it is. You're like, there's so many things to think about. Like, where do we start? Maybe is that what you mean?
I think it's also because we are not used to it, For me, it has been really challenging just finding filmers. And luckily, we had the amazing help of Anne Cleary, who found all those talents, all the filmers that were on site at Sister Summit, and the editors and the photographers. There are more photographers known in the industry than filmers, actually. We've been looking for a woman drone pilot. We couldn't find any.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't find any. So I think there is in our sport, freeriding, I think the media aspect is huge, because you can not only have competition, but all the creativity around that sport, it's so important. And so you showcase that through filming. And so pushing women, we can actually shred and make amazing images of it. It's really important, I think. And this is, not only through the athletes that we will change the equality in the industry, but also through the exposure that we will give it to them. So I think that working on all those different level of specialties, whereas it is as an athlete or media, was really important to hopefully change a little bit of our industry in the future.
Yeah, and I also want to add, with the guides, all the guides, they said that this was the first time they have ever been in a room with all female guides. for a trip or for an operation.
Wow.
Like they're like all of them first time. And they were one of the days, I think we were 8 total with the tail guides. And just for me, like I get emotional, like to be able to provide that and show that that is possible. That's so powerful. And also with Leanne coming with a baby, with so many that was one of the main talks that we had, like being a mom in the industry, like being a mom as a guide or as an athlete. Like it's not normal.
Right.
And we want it to be. And just having Leanne there with the baby, just showing all the girls that you can actually do this and be a mom, have a child, and continue to push yourself or continue to be in this industry and still be accepted, but also valued, because that's what we as women are afraid of, to lose our partners, right? That when we get pregnant, we're out for a year or 2 years. So what's our value now? Like, can we still push ourselves? Do the brand want to be part of this?
Right. Because it's different than like blowing your knee, because they understand that, like, okay, sometimes they're like, I've always heard the story so many times. Oh, I blew my knee out or injured myself. I'm worried I'm going to lose my partners. A lot of the time they're like, oh, cool, we'll stick it out. But how many of them, I've never heard a story of someone approaching their partner saying, hey, I'm going to have a kid.
Yeah.
And
that's part of all our lives,
Right.
Like that's.
And I wonder, I'm just trying to formulate this thought as well. How many women in the industry who have made it didn't have kids or held off from having kids, or, didn't make that a priority in their life, or maybe held off a little bit too long because they wanted to keep going into the career and they wanted to hold on to it because they knew that, I don't know if I'll have this opportunity if I decide to take this path and have a family.
Oh yeah, I think like most athletes, and especially in our sport, are getting children a lot later because they want to continue their passion.
Is it out of
sport.
fear? Is it out of, I'm still strong for the next couple of years? Like everybody obviously has their physical peak and then a slow decline. It's just an age thing. So,
I think it's a
variables.
mix. I think it's both, like you want to continue and to find your peak, but at the same time, you're so competitive, right? You are an athlete, and when you have kind of decided that, I think a lot of the athletes they see that that's my why. Like I'm maybe not a mom, and if I will be, then that's later. But this is so important to me, and since I don't know, just being an athlete and experiencing all the highs and like the passion and the love that we have for skiing and snowboarding is just takes over everything else. It's just so fucking amazing. And when you don't have children, you don't know what you're missing. But then, as Leanne said, like I never understood that I can love I didn't want a child because I love snowboarding so much.
Right.
But when I got pregnant and now when I have a kid, this is the only thing I want to do.
Right.
And I want to do it together.
Right.
I want to have a child as a snowboarder. I want to continue being a snowboarder.
And it's great to tell those stories because, like I said, maybe there's like, this is all I want. And it's the impression of it's either or.
Yeah. And she's showing that it's not either or.
Right. Same with like Greta as well. Greta Lyson, she's got her 2 kids and she's coming back and working hard to kind of get back involved as well.
Yeah. And also as a guide and also as a filmer. Like I think, or at least this week, we showed that it's possible to do both. You don't have to choose.
Very cool. Yeah. So run me through a typical day at the Sister Summit. What do you, if I, I'm an up and coming shredder, and I get one of those coveted 20 spots, and I get like everything lines up, and I'm coming. And what am I going to expect on an average, or like a typical day? Pick a day. What's kind of the plan? Like what happens? What's the calendar? What's the word I'm looking for?
The calendar.
Schedule.
Yeah, we have the schedule, but you tell us.
We did a lot of adaptation on a daily basis. Basically, you wake up at 6, and then you will start with 1 hour of yoga in the morning. And then breakfast for 1 hour, 30 minutes to get ready.
A full hour yoga.
Yeah, 1 full hour yoga.
Perfect.
To realign your chakras before standing on the hill.
Right.
So 1 hour breakfast, 30 minutes to get ready, and let's go. from 8:39-ish until 3:30, 4 p.m. You're just on the hill shredding all day with like a group of 8 people all together, and the group were changing every day.
Yeah, so 3 cats.
3 cats, 3 different cats, 1 photo cat, 1 filmer video cat, and 1 free-skiing cat.
So there'd be like a film crew, photography crew, and then the athletes would just rotate through and into with the different
and
groups?
also changing the different groups and changing, So you do photos 2 days, filming 2 days, and then you free ski 1 or 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet. And then so I know that, heli skiing or cat skiing, they're usually on kind of a program like, okay, we're going here and then we're getting to this and then we're going to go up and do it again. A lot of it's because they want to get the laps in. Were you guys able to just set up and say, hey, we're going to play around here for a while, and they were cool with that? Like, so if the other 2 cats went up, you didn't actually have to be on the same schedule. You could just do your own thing, more or less.
Yeah.
Whatever the skiers wanted or the snowboarders wanted to do in that cat, they chose that and then did that with the guide and with the photographers and just made a plan basically every day. And then we tried to plan in advance, like, okay, these girls want to do jumping or these girls want to just go, pow surfing or whatever it was. And we tried to tailor that every day and try to make it that everyone could push themselves in the way they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you didn't really have to follow someone else's rules. You could like make it up, and this is what we're gonna do.
We made the rules, but with feedback and input from all the riders. Like every day, we were asking the riders, like, what do you guys want to do tomorrow? And then we tried to make sure that everyone got what they wanted, which was a lot of work and then a lot of hours to do that. But and then to continue the schedule after skiing, we come back to hot soup and some snacks. We rest for an hour.
The snack table looked amazing.
Yeah, the food. Oh my God, Leanne, our chef, she's next level. So amazing. So we come back to an hour of resting, snacking, and just getting ready for 2 hours of speaker series. Mm-hmm. So we had most of the speakers swimming in from around the world.
On Zoom,
talking about branding, identity, female empowerment. We had the sustainability panel. We had the diversity and anti-racism panel. We talked about being a woman and a mom in the sport. We talked about food, nutrition, how to be healthy as an athlete, and how to eat in the different seasons. And then after the 2 hours of speaker series, we had a lovely dinner and we went to bed at between 9 and 10.
It's a pretty full-on day.
Oh, yes.
And then the dance parties, were they just isolated to the cats?
The dance parties was in the cat, and also the last 2 days, or like the last day at the lodge, and then when we came back to Rebby, we invited the whole town to party with us.
That's really cool. Yeah, I showed up for that one.
Yes.
A little late after smashing my truck, but it's okay. I made it. But everybody was just, the energy in there was spectacular. Right?
Yeah.
After a week, that was that.
We were exploding.
It was so good.
Right. And now is it that feeling of like, I can't wait to share the world with what we have? I saw you've got, 6 or 7 drives that you've got to work through over there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. We just finished editing this morning. And we will, release the content on Outside TV the next week. And during all the winter, all the different reels that we prepared and we will keep organizing the footage.
So you edited everything already?
We have edited all the reels for the athletes already and the Sister Summit highlights.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was quite intense because creating 25 reels in 1 week.
And this isn't like Instagram reels. This is like a reel representing what they did in the week. So
yes.
How long are they?
It's based on an Instagram reel,
it is,
so
okay.
it's 1
yeah.
minute.
Yeah, so it is an athlete reel.
Yeah, we didn't want to release too many footage either because we still have a movie to prepare after that.
Yeah, so was that always planned as well?
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan from the very beginning, and then we depending on our budget and our sponsors and
the content,
the
snow and the
no,
skiing
but like for sure, that was always a big part of it. And then our dream was to create a big film, and we will be able to do that.
Cool.
Share the story of the first edition of Sister Summit. I think is really important. You will never live that again. And so, I've been filming a bit the backstage while we were at Lexi's house, like becoming crazy. Like, oh my God, it's in 2 days. We have to finishing everything. And so the media crew arrived on the 23rd, and from the 24th until the 1st of December, they have been filming nonstop from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. every day.
And these are the invitees that were they, like the filmers, they were there obviously to learn and to experience and to be a part of it, but they were also there to work?
Oh, they were working.
They were
paid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, great. So I was like, holy smokes, that's a lot. But they were obviously allowed to participate and do all of that as well?
I mean, they were working the whole day. They were filming the whole day. They were filming the speaker series. And, for sure.
And was it the same people filming, like, for the movie that were filming for, like, the social stuff?
Yeah, that was the big part of it, because they needed to film both for the deliverables on our Instagram and social platforms, but also some extra footage for the movie. So I created a shot list, which was absolutely huge.
I've seen your lists. You've given me some of those lists, and I've seen them, and it makes me shake my head how thorough they are and how fast you put them together. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was like, I wasn't supposed to like direct the production crew. We were supposed to have someone, Anne Cleary, doing it. But we needed to cut a little bit of budget. And so like 2 weeks before the summit, I took the job. And so I was like, oh my God. I remember I was coming back from Austria in my car, and I was like, oh, wow, I need to prepare all the deliverables. So I basically wrote the movie and prepared all the deliverables in 4 hours in a super focused mode to make sure that the media crew could have it before they were going for another project, and so they could be ready for Sister Summit, prepare all the gear, rent all the gear, buy a ton of hard drives, so we would all be ready, and that there wouldn't be like bad surprises when they would arrive, and that we could straight away go and do the job.
Of all the people that I know, you'd be one of the first I would nominate in order to do something like that. Absolutely. Yeah, you said no surprises. Were there any surprises? Were there any big challenges that arose that like you were like, oh crap?
I mean, yes and no. Like for sure, there was a lot of challenges. And when you have 50 women under the same roof, and you have a pretty tight schedule, there's always surprises, but I think we were able to deal with them pretty well.
Yes, it's been I think that even when we were a bit in the rush, we were talking to each other and we were saying, oh my God, this is intense, but it's smooth, Yeah. We never fought for making Sister Summit happen, because I guess it was meant to happen.
You all had a singular purpose, and you all understood that it's bigger than you.
Yeah.
Right. Like you said, you put egos aside. Right. There's some things that it's just work.
Yeah. I mean, the vision have always been so clear, and all the girls and the industry wanted to be part of that. And I think that's what's been so amazing with this week, is to see all the girls just wanting to be part of it and learning about, if I want to be good, or like if I want to be a good partner, or if I want to be a good daughter or sister or mother, whatever it is, I need to take care of myself, and I need to do that so I can be part of the collective.
Right.
And
it's a good point. It's not necessarily just about being a good athlete or filmer or whatever. It's about being a more well-rounded human.
Yeah, and if you take care of yourself, you're able to take care of others and be part of a change, and I think that's really what we wanted to cultivate. And now, like, just seeing how many connections all the girls have made, like getting new best friends, or like, oh my God, I want to work with this photographer, or Hedvig, can you connect me with Puck or Yeti? And I'm like, hell yeah, like we want to grow. And like already for me, like there's so many of these girls that I've never met before that I want to that I want them in my film. You know, I want to ski with them or shred with them.
They're inspired by it, right? I don't know who you are, but I want to. I'm glad I do now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Amazing. So if there was, if you could, do you have like a mission statement, or if there's one kind of blanket statement that you could give, like about what you experienced or what it is, or did your idea of it change a little bit after it was finished than for when you were rolling into it?
I think it just got more powerful.
Yes, I think. And we will see how we will grow for the next years. But I think there are so many possibilities, you know. We can do anything with it as long as we are all together and driven by the same passion and to follow our dream and to bound all together. I'm sure we can go very far. We can open to new destinations. We can change the format a little bit every year, change the different deliverables, change the destination. I said that again already, but we could also expand to new sports. We want to eventually to go in surfing, in mountain biking. We discovered as well that there is an opportunity in fishing.
Fishing, I bet so. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, in climbing, and there's so many.
Sailing. Yeah.
Turn this into quite the business venture.
Yeah.
Sister Summit Incorporated.
Oh yeah, there's so many layers.
You know, well, you definitely have tapped into something, and it was really cool to watch. And I'm so stoked for you guys that it was what you hoped and what you expected, because you guys put in a lot of time and a lot of work.
Thank you.
And just talking to everybody the other night at the after party, and just everyone hearing their stories and getting the vibe. Everybody that was there was so fired up.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now that it's over, you're going to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I mean, 2 days of resting, and then we need to wrap this up. You know, we need to go through the event in detail. What did we do well? What can we do better?
Yep.
How do we want to continue? How do we work? How do we, plan for the next year? We already have a 5-year plan. We already have a clear vision and dream, and now we just need to figure out how we will do it. And for Lexi and me, who are athletes, and we need to ski and be professional athletes, and that's a full-time job itself. So we need to find a way to balance it, and
because you're obviously it's the first time you do something, it's overwhelming and it's a lot of work. It gets maybe a little easier the next time, just because there are certain aspects that you know what to expect. But you're also talking about wanting to do 2, maybe 3, expand them to other sports, right? So there's that scale.
Yeah, I mean, we need a bigger team, and we need more money.
Yep, there you go. That's the answer.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, simple to the point. So with all of the content that you guys have created, when and where can we start to see this stuff?
So it will be available from the 9th of December on Outside TV platforms. All of the reels will also be available on our social media. On Outside TV, you will be able to find not only the reels of the athletes, the highlights of the week, but also the World Speaker Series, which I think would bring a lot of value to the audience.
Oh, the Speaker Series is going to be available too.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
All the talks.
So it's a long talk, and I think it would be very interesting because we had a lot of requests from the different women who were following us to ask if they could join or log in for the Sister Summit Speaker Series.
So it's not like you've eliminated that exclusivity. Obviously, you only have 20 spaces or however many spaces, because that's all you can physically put into the lodge. But we're not restricting all of the information, the knowledge, and everything we've done to just those who were there. We want to give it to everybody.
And I think one of the big goals for next year is find a way somehow to include the public and to grow our community, and potentially so the non-professional skiers or snowboarders could learn from professionals in the industry, but also could learn through the different speaker series how to grow themselves as a woman and empower themselves as a woman. So this is one of our main goals for next season, is to bring that community physically on site and gather people. And we would also like to open our door to men.
Mr. Summit.
Mr. Summit.
No, you're still a sister.
It
What's
will
that?
still be Sister Summit. But
The sisters, we're going to open up the doors to the misters.
Sisters.
The sisters.
the sisters,
We're all sisters.
it was so funny. We had a bunch of guys in the lodge, and we Jack, or we were calling them like Sisters Jack. So yeah, it will remain sister.
That's cool. I like
For
it.
sure.
No, I was just teasing, obviously, because I know, like I said a couple times, I would know personally I would benefit from something like that.
Yeah.
'Cause there isn't really something like that on the men's side either.
No.
Right? You know, there's, as I had mentioned, there is, you naturally have this need to work with each other because, like I said, you guys have been you're fighting for space and time against this male-dominated industry that's always there. And we do our own thing, but we never collaborate in this sort of style either as well,
Yeah.
which
And
I think is definitely needed.
Yeah, and it's also why we women are
Leading the
so
way.
fucking awesome,
Yeah.
because we do it together and we want to help each other.
Yeah.
And that's what all of the girls felt after this week, just so fired up from feeling loved and supported, you know. And that's how you can become better humans, but also better riders.
Right. And I'm really excited to see, are you going to do like a follow-up next year on so obviously you have all of the footage that we're going to put out now, and I like how you found it important to put it out right away rather than save it and put it out next year, like, you know, like a traditional film project. Like, this is important, let's get it out as soon as possible. And you were probably the right person for that, as we mentioned with the Freeride World Tour history, getting stuff out quickly. But will you be doing kind of a maybe end of season recap to see where these people were? Did you have all the girls, females, set up their goals and say, hey, what do you want to achieve from this winter, and then revisit it at the end? Is that something that you guys did as well?
I didn't really get
Did you have everybody maybe set goals, or were there specific goals that a lot of these attendees had for this season? And then are you going to be kind of checking in with them at the end of the winter, maybe to say, hey, how did your season go based upon your, you know, the way the season started? You were so fired up and you were goal oriented and you learned all these things. Well, at the end of the season, maybe revisit and say, hey,
Yeah,
what did you learn?
We didn't, but it's a great idea to do so.
Yeah, you know, we didn't ask everyone specifically, but or we didn't get their answer. But throughout the week, we have been very like, that's been a big topic. But we haven't visited each of everyone. But I think, I mean, for sure, we will follow up with everyone and be in contact with all the girls. And like, for me, one of my dreams is to create management, you know, like to create a space where the girls can come and get support. Or if it's like, okay, Sister Summit is a space for not only the event itself, but it's also a way of getting those connections.
Advices, support.
Love it.
For all the different projects that I want to carry during the years.
I love it. And I'm really looking forward, like I said, to seeing the athletes and the people that were here and seeing what they put out at the end of the season or at the beginning of next season when all the projects come out, and be like, I was there and I learned this, or I was there and I had the confidence to achieve this. So it's going to be neat to see what the legacy of this program turns into.
Yeah.
It's only the start.
I can't wait
Only
to
the
see it.
start. Let's go.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so
You're
much.
almost at the end of this crazy week. Thanks for giving me some time. The last little bit of a message for the people listening. Places they need, other than Outside TV, do they have to subscribe to it?
Sister Summit Instagram account.
Yeah. And I mean, on our website, you will find a lot of information on our website and our Instagram.
Are you going to embed the Outside TV clips onto the Sister Summit website? Are you able to do that?
we will see.
But I think the idea is really to have a lot of visitors and engagement on outside platforms through Sister Summit. So we'll put that mainly on Outside TV, but we will also include the link in our Instagram.
Perfect.
So basically, all of our latest news will be available on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
It looked awesome. I'm excited to see what you guys do next.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'll let you go get some rest.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this video on the LPP YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. And while you're here, you may as well watch this great LPP highlights video. Thanks.